Welcome back to another episode of Tula Talks. I'm your host, Tula Alfredo, and in honor of Women's Month, I've decided to dedicate a series entitled Phenomenal Women, This Could Be You. Today, I'm joined by a phenomenal woman who has lived in 3 refugee camps. You hear her grace the airways weekdays at WPGC 95.5. The community feels her love through her philanthropist activities. She's a Sarat girl, and did I mention a Bosnian beauty? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Miss Sunni to the show.
Should I clap for myself?
No. Let me do the clapping.
Okay.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I want to say thank you for letting me do this interview.
Of course.
So before we get started, I have to ask you, how much do you love the DMV?
I love this area so much, and it's so crazy that actually coming up it's going to be my 3-year anniversary, and I've madly fallen in love with it. I always tell everyone, as long as I have a job, I'm staying here in the DC area. I lived, of course, Detroit will always be my home. I lived in Miami, I lived in New York. Nothing compares to DC area, and I'm here forever. Like, you guys have me. This is it.
Wow, DMV, we have Sunni on the lockdown. Can you walk us through a day in the life of a radio host?
I usually wake up at like 6:30, sometimes at 6 a.m. because I try to get my workout in before. I'll do my show prep, which is basically I sit in my bed, put on Good Morning America, and I scan the blogs, set up my show, and then I come to work at like 9:30. My show is from 10 to 2, and when I leave at 2, it's always something. I either have a meeting or a lunch meeting or like a charity event or a station appearance, and by the time I get home, I'm either like doing my second workout or my first workout, depending on what time I work out. And then it's time to, do my social thing, and I either have an event in the evening or dinner with my girlfriends, and then out to the club or whatever, and the next day starts all over again.
Woo, busy
so
schedule.
It's a lot, but it's fun. So I don't look at it that way. It's a lot of fun.
Well, they say when you love what you do,
exactly,
it's not work.
It's not work.
And you're a prime example of that.
Yeah.
So I stumbled across your Sunday's Address positive peer pressure article.
Yeah.
Tell me, what caused you and your family to have to leave Bosnia?
Well, I mean, it was just, we had like a normal life. When I was a kid growing up in Bosnia, we lived in our village, it was just the life that we knew. And when the war started, we were relocated to 3 different camps throughout the years. So it was times when we would go back home, the war would erupt again, and we would have to move again. So we moved through 2 different camps, and that was like me growing up from like age 8 to 13. So like that's all I knew was like moving around and seeing army everywhere, and my dad was gone and serving, and it was just really like, when I think about it now, to me seems like a movie. Like
really?
Because over the years, like, I've tried to distance my life so much from that, but this year I just went to Bosnia for the first time since I've been in the States, and it kind of like brought me back. So it was really great, but just living in the camps, it's what you hear. We lived in a tent outside at one point in the winter, and I remember us waking up and the tent caved in because it snowed on us. So my dad like went outside and cleaned it off and like set it back up, and we lived inside of a tent in the winter.
So, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
like we washed our clothes outside in the water. We waited in lines for water, for food. In the summer, it was the same. I mean, it's just like all the things that you think of, but I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I do a lot of charity work, because I know exactly what it's like to be homeless, basically. Like,
yeah,
you don't have a home.
I want to ask you about that. Living in a tent in the winter, I mean, I'm pretty sure you were freezing.
Yeah.
If I'm not, like, how was that? Like,
well, it's weird because I feel like my people were so resourceful. Like, I remember my dad actually making like a oven out of bricks inside of our tent. Yeah, so he like stacked some bricks and put like a metal plate over it and created like an outlet for the smoke. Wow. And put a hole through our tent, and we like actually lit fire.
You had a fireplace in your tent.
Yeah, and he made it with like his bare hands.
You guys,
Isn't
they had
that
a
weird?
fireplace in the tent.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
That's like
though.
and everyone was like doing it, and it was just the weirdest thing. But I remember at one point, us like sitting in our little tent, and I remember thinking, there are people all over the world that know that we're here, that like we don't have anything, and I remember asking my mom, like, why aren't they helping us? And like thinking of that moment now, I think when I see people, like even when I just drive down the street and I see like a homeless person, like it really takes me back to that moment.
Yeah.
So it's like a point in my life that I'll never forget. Learn how to speak English, you move up to the regular classes on the first floor. So everybody there was like, my dream is to get to the first floor. I gotta get to the first floor.
Oh, that's so cute.